The morning sky was bright, but the world around Alex was wrong. The air was thick, quiet, and still, as if someone had pressed pause on everything. He stood in the middle of Main Street, a backpack hanging loosely from one shoulder, his breath visible even though it wasn't cold. Every store window reflected the same thing. Him, no cars, no people, just Alex. He had been here before, this exact moment. He knew it deep down. The same leaf blowing across the street, the same flickering traffic light, the same strange song echoing from somewhere far away. But this time there was one difference. His phone buzzed in his hand, showing a message that hadn't been there before. You didn't leave when you were supposed to. Alex froze. His throat tightened as he read the words again. The sender's name was blank. He tried to call someone, anyone, but there was no signal. The time on his phone was 7:14 a.m. He looked up. The clock on the town hall also read 7:14 a.m. It had been that same time since he woke up. He started running down the street, calling out, "Hello? Anyone there?" His voice echoed and came back to him seconds later, slower, almost distorted, like someone or something was repeating his words a heartbeat after he spoke. He turned a corner and stopped cold. Mrs. Lewis, his neighbor, stood frozen in place, holding a newspaper halfway between her porch and her mailbox. The paper's date read March 12, 1998. That couldn't be right. Yesterday was April 3rd, 2025. He walked closer, but she didn't blink, didn't breathe. When he touched her arm, it was warm, alive, but unmoving, as if time had forgotten her too. Alex stumbled backward. The same message appeared again on his phone. "You're not supposed to be here, Alex. Yesterday doesn't end for everyone." He dropped the phone. His mind raced. He ran toward the school, the same path he took every day. But halfway there, he saw something that made him stop completely. A version of himself, wearing the same clothes, the same backpack, was walking the same path, a few blocks ahead. He screamed, but the other version didn't turn. The light above them flickered once, and everything went black. Alex woke up gasping, lying on his bed. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. 7:14 a.m. again. The same day. The same buzzing message. The same words. "You didn't leave when you were supposed to." His heart pounded. He ran downstairs, desperate to find his mom. She was in the kitchen, pouring coffee. But before he could speak, she looked up at him with wide, blank eyes and said softly, "Alex, you shouldn't still be here." Then the lights flickered, and the whole house shook like something massive had passed through it. When the shaking stopped, Alex ran outside again, but this time the entire town looked older. Buildings were cracked. Cars were rusted. Trees were dead. Yet the clock tower still read 7:14 a.m. He checked his phone again. A new message appeared. "Welcome back to yesterday." Alex dropped to his knees as realization sank in. Somehow, he had been left behind, in time itself. The world had moved on, but he hadn't. And then a voice, his own, whispered behind him, "Don't try to leave again. It gets worse when you do." He turned around slowly, terrified to see what, or who, was standing there. Alex froze where he stood, his breath short and ragged. The voice that spoke behind him sounded exactly like his own. Same tone, same nervous shake, same rhythm. Slowly, he turned around. Standing just a few feet away was him. The same clothes, the same backpack, even the same bruise on his arm from where he'd bumped into the banister that morning. The other Alex smiled faintly, his eyes darker somehow, like they were filled with something older than time itself. "Don't look at me like that," the other Alex said quietly. "You've been here before." I don't understand," Alex stammered. "Who are you?" "I'm you," the other Alex said. The version that stayed too long. Alex stepped back, shaking his head. "This is a dream. It has to be. None of this is real." The other Alex laughed softly, a tired, broken sound. "That's what I thought the first 100 times. But you'll see. You'll see that this town doesn't let go. Once you've been left behind in yesterday, there's no tomorrow to wake up to." The air grew colder. A faint hum vibrated to the ground. like the low rumble of a faraway train. Alex looked around. The streets were starting to flicker, fading in and out like an old television signal struggling to hold an image. "What's happening?" Alex whispered. The other Alex tilted his head. "Time's resetting again. It happens every so often. But every time it does, it takes a little more of you with it." Before Alex could reply, the world around them blurred. Colors bled into each other. Buildings melted like wax under sunlight, and sound stretched out like someone was pulling the world apart. Then silence. When the blur settled, Alex was standing in the middle of Main Street again. Only this time, the town was alive. Cars moved, people walked, children laughed. Everything looked normal, except no one seemed to notice him. He waved his arms, shouting, "Hey, can anyone hear me?" No response. He stepped in front of a woman walking her dog. She walked straight through him. He stumbled back, his heart racing. He wasn't really here. Or maybe they weren't. Then he saw his mom again, standing by their car, waving goodbye to him. His other self, the version still living that day, got in the car and drove away. He tried to run toward them, but his feet wouldn't move. It felt like the air itself was holding him in place. He screamed, "Wait! Don't leave me here." The world shimmered again, and the cars, people, and sunlight vanished. The town returned to silence, gray and lifeless. A static buzz filled the air. Alex turned toward the sound and saw an old payphone by the diner, ringing. He hesitated, then picked up the receiver. A whisper on the line said, "You can't leave by walking. You can only leave by remembering." "What does that mean?" Alex asked, trembling, but the line went dead. He hung up, confused and afraid. Then, from the corner of his eye, he saw something move inside the diner. Someone sitting in one of the booths. Cautiously, he stepped inside. The smell of dust and old coffee filled the air. A single light flickered above a booth, and sitting there was a man he didn't recognize, wearing a long coat and a hat pulled low over his face. "Sit down, Alex," the man said without looking up. Alex froze. "How do you know my name?" The man finally lifted his head. His eyes were hollow, not empty, but endless. "Because I've met you before," he said slowly. "Many times. You always come back. You always forget. And every time, the town keeps another part of you." Alex's voice cracked. "What is this place?" The man smiled faintly. "This is what's left when time forgets someone." Alex stood, ready to run. But before he could take a step, the man's voice grew colder. "If you run now, the next reset will erase you completely. You'll still walk here, talk here, breathe here, but no one will ever remember you existed." The lights flickered again. The air began to hum like before. The reset was starting. The man stood slowly and pointed toward the clock tower outside. "When the bell tolls, you'll have one chance to remember what you did to cause this. Only then can you leave." Alex turned toward the door. The sound of the clock's gears grinding filled the air. Tick, tick, tick. The first bell rang. He ran outside, desperate to see what was happening. But the sky above the town had turned blood red. The second bell rang. The streets began to twist. Buildings folded in on themselves like paper. The third bell rang. And standing at the center of the street was another version of him. Older this time. Pale, whispering the same words over and over again. "You didn't leave when you were supposed to." The final bell rang. The world shattered into white. Alex opened his eyes to the sound of birds. The air was warm. Bright sunlight poured through the window, and for a moment, just a moment, he thought everything was normal again. He was lying in his bed. The same blue sheets, the same posters on the wall, the same half-open backpack on the chair. It looked exactly like home. But something wasn't right. The calendar on his desk still read Monday, April 9th. The same date as yesterday. The same date as the day before. The same date every time the world reset. Alex sat up slowly. His phone on the nightstand buzzed once and lit up. It showed 8:02 a.m., but the battery was stuck at 47%, frozen like time itself refused to move forward. Then the phone vibrated again. This time, a new message appeared from an unknown number. "Unknown! You didn't listen. The clock is running out." Alex's stomach dropped. He quickly texted back. "Who is this?" No reply. The typing bubble appeared, then vanished. He threw the phone onto the bed and hurried to the window. Outside, everything looked fine. People mowing lawns, mail being delivered, cars driving by. The world looked perfectly alive. But he noticed something chilling. Every clock tower, wristwatch, and digital sign still read 8:02 a.m. The world was frozen in time, replaying the same minute again and again. Alex stepped outside, calling out, "Hello? Can anyone hear me?" Mrs. Larson, their neighbor, waved at him cheerfully from her porch. "Good morning, Alex." "Off to school." Alex blinked. "School? It's not." Before he could finish, she spoke again. The exact same words. The same tone, same smile. He realized she wasn't really there. She was a loop, a ghost of the moment. Heart pounding, Alex started walking toward the center of town. He needed to find that man again, the one in the diner. He had said something about remembering. Maybe he still knew what to do. But when Alex reached Main Street, the diner was gone. In its place was an empty lot, overgrown with weeds and cracked pavement. A single signpost stood in the dirt. Future site of Maplewood Plaza, opening soon. Except the sign was faded, rusted, and looked like it had been there for decades. Alex ran his fingers across the metal. The moment he touched it, the air shimmered. The world flickered again. He heard voices, echoes, laughter, the sound of his mom calling his name, but from far away, like it was underwater. "Alex, hurry up or we'll be late." He spun around. There she was, standing by the car again just like before, his past self loading his backpack into back seat. "Mom!" Alex yelled, "Don't go!" But as always, they couldn't hear him. Then something changed. The other Alex, the one from before, paused. He turned slightly, as if he'd heard something. Their eyes met for the first time. For a split second, Alex thought he saw recognition. His past self blinked, confused, looking directly at him. "Can you hear me?" Alex shouted. "It's me. It's you." The world shook violently. The cars disappeared. The road split apart like glass cracking under pressure. A deep hum filled the air again, the same sound before every reset. But this time it didn't stop. The hum grew louder, turning into a deafening roar. The sky darkened, clouds swirling like a black whirlpool. And then something new happened. A train horn echoed in the distance. Alex froze. There hadn't been a train in Maplewood for years. The old tracks were abandoned long before he was born. The sound came again, closer this time. He looked toward the edge of town, where the old railway line cut through the forest. A faint, white glow was spreading along the tracks. The man from the diner's words echoed in his head. "When the bell tolls, remember what you did to cause this." Was the train the key? He ran toward the forest, his shoes crunching against gravel and broken rails. The air grew colder with every step. When he reached the clearing, he saw it, the train, but it wasn't moving. It sat silently on the tracks, gleaming under the moonlight that somehow shone in the middle of the day. Its windows were dark, its doors closed, and on the side, painted in faint silver letters, were the words, "Maplewood Express departed." Alex swallowed hard. The number on the front of the train flickered. 47, just like his phone's frozen battery. He stepped closer, whispering, "Is this what's keeping the town stuck?" The air around him shimmered again, like heat waves rising from pavement. The sound of the clock tower began echoing through the woods. 1, 2, 3. The reset was coming. Alex grabbed the train's door handle. It was ice cold. The final bell rang, and before he could react, the door snapped open on its own. Inside, he saw shadows, moving shapes, dozens of them, seated silently. Then one of them turned its head toward him. It was his mother. Her eyes were completely white. "Alex," she said, her voice echoing strangely, "you missed your stop." The train's horn screamed through the forest, and the ground vanished beneath his feet.